Cold, Hard Boundaries. By me, the disposable daughter. If you're wondering what kind of person stops secretly paying the family heating oil bill the week after Thanksgiving, the answer is me. Hi, I'm the villain. Or, as my mother once said through gritted teeth at Christmas brunch, the responsible one, but not in a fun way. I'm Diana, eldest daughter, maker of spreadsheets, bearer of burdens, patron saint of passive-aggressively Venmoed utility payments. I do not have children, but I do have a favorite brand of thermal socks, a 780 credit score, and a resentment kink for being the one who always just takes care of things. You may not think that makes me hot stuff at family gatherings, but let me tell you, nothing makes Aunt Marlene's eyebrows disappear into her hairline faster than telling her you own your condo outright. It's the little things. My family is a traveling circus of mild to moderate dysfunction, held together by group texts, birthday guilt, and a shared Netflix password that I, until recently, paid for. There's my mother, Gladys, the empress of selective memory, who somehow recalls every time I forgot to call her on her birthday in 2009 and 2013, but not the year I paid for her gallbladder surgery deductible. Her love language is martyrdom with a side of gaslighting. She calls my younger sister the baby, despite her being 34, and regularly overdrafting her checking account to buy throw pillows with affirmations like, "You are enough." Ah yes, my sister, Rachel. The golden child dipped in honey and rolled in Instagram filters. She's the kind of person who says adulting is hard while forwarding her Venmo rent request labeled, "Mom said you'd get this?" She once called me, "So type A it hurts," which is rich coming from someone whose greatest act of rebellion is letting her car insurance lapse. Then there's Doug, my brother. A man whose greatest ambition appears to be the title of guy who shows up with nothing but Tupperware at every holiday. Doug works in sales. He has a podcast. Enough said. This year, they forgot to invite me to Thanksgiving. Claimed it was a miscommunication. "Oh, we thought you were going to that Friendsgiving thing with the divorced lady from your building." Sure, I'm having dinner with a friend the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I found out about the family dinner Friday morning from a group photo Rachel posted, captioned, "Grateful for family and wine." She tagged our mother. She did not tag me. The house looked cozy, almost like someone had paid for heating oil. Here's a fun fact. Heating oil delivery companies? They keep excellent records, like CIA-level records. It turns out for 3 years, they'd been billing my card, not because anyone asked me to, but because I offered once, and no one ever offered to stop me. So I did what any emotionally intelligent adult raised on love starvation and conditional affection would do. I canceled the autopay Friday morning. They canceled the refill delivery for Friday afternoon. Timing is everything. Let the holiday frostbite games begin. By November 27th, the family group chat, creatively titled The Richardsons, was in a state of silent crisis. You could practically hear the frost forming on the inside of Rachel's perfectly curated farmhouse window panes. No one had said anything directly, of course. That would require vulnerability, or worse, accountability. But the signs were there. Doug texted, "Anyone else's toes feel like Civil War reenactment props LOL." Rachel posted an Instagram story of herself in a wool hat, inside the house, zooming in on the thermostat like it was a crime scene. The caption read, 42 degrees inside, manifesting warmth. And my mother, the grand puppeteer of plausible deniability, sent a single cryptic text. "We're all trying our best." Which is what she usually says right before demanding to speak to a manager, or after Rachel forgets to pay her car note for the 5th time. She didn't ask me if I'd canceled the oil payment. That would have required admitting she knew I'd been paying it in the first place. That's the trick with invisible labor. It stays invisible until you stop doing it. And oh, did I stop. You see, revenge isn't just a dish best served cold. It's a whole post-holiday meal served in a 39-degree dining room while everyone pretends they're fine and drinks hot cider out of travel mugs because the kitchen pipes are threatening to freeze. Now let's talk about cocoa-scented coping mechanisms. I made cookies. Not just any cookies. These were intentional cookies, fluffy, spiced, still warm from the oven, filled with the rich, velvety smugness of someone reclaiming my power. I brought them to my neighbor's Friendsgiving, held on a Saturday, so we could all make it. Yes, that friend Angela, recently divorced, owns a Peloton and pours wine like she's trying to make you cry. They were a hit. I didn't know you baked, Angela said, wiping a tear from her eye after her third cookie. Oh, I smiled, only when I'm processing generational trauma. We toasted to boundaries, to not being the default emergency contact, to not driving 3 hours to dog sit a dog you didn't birth, own, or like, and to heat, literal heat. Meanwhile, over in Frostbite Manor, my family tried to piece together the mystery of who, exactly, used to just handle the oil. I picture Rachel, wrapped in 3 anthropology throws, shivering and indignant. Doug probably suggested starting a GoFundMe, and my mother no doubt said something performatively sad like, "We're not poor, we're just between oils." Let me be clear, this isn't about the money. I could afford to keep paying. Hell, I bought myself a weighted blanket and a new space heater just to celebrate not paying for theirs. No, this is about something else, something warm and hard to name. It's about the years of being the glue without ever being seen as the structure. About every "you're so strong" that really meant "I'm not going to help you." About the fact that I once stood outside in the snow to defrost a lockbox so my mother's cat sitter wouldn't miss a shift, while no one remembered to save me a plate at Christmas. This is about boundaries, and how sometimes the only way to draw them is with a flaming credit card and the pure, silent satisfaction of watching people finally feel the cold you've been living in for years. It happened at 2:14 a.m., because of course it did. Rachel, ever the documentarian of her own disintegration, uploaded a shaky video to the group chat. It began with a dramatic zoom on her ceiling and the unmistakable sound of water audibly not being where it was supposed to be. "I think a pipe burst," she whispered, as though speaking too loudly might anger the plumbing gods. The video panned down to a slow, ominous drip into a mason jar, for ambience. Doug replied with, "Lol damn." Mother sent 3 praying hands emojis. I didn't respond. Let me explain something about my silence. It's not passive aggression. It's aggression, curated and distilled to a fine, aged quiet. You only learn that kind of silence after years of being the emergency contact no one calls unless there's a bill, a breakdown, or a body involved. But this time, no response. Not from me, not from my wallet. I did, however, watch the chaos unfold with the fascination of a Netflix true crime doc. Someone tried to call a plumber. No one knew how. Rachel thought, you just book them on TaskRabbit. Doug offered to DIY it, which is how I knew things were about to get significantly wetter. Eventually, Mother texted me directly. "Can you come take a look? You're good at this stuff." Ah, there it was, the soft, manipulative siren song of her affection, coated in helplessness, seasoned with flattery, and designed to make me forget the decades of casual emotional strip mining. For a moment, I almost felt it, the gravitational pull of old roles, of being the one who shows up, fixes, absorbs, repairs. Then I looked around at my own warm, quiet apartment, the soft hum of my space heater, the cocoa on the stove, the cat curled on the back of the couch like a living punctuation mark to my piece. I texted back, "I'm sure you'll figure it out." A moment later, the group chat pinged again. Doug. "Where's the oil guy's number again?" Rachel. "Does he do emergency plumbing too?" Mother. "Maybe this is what we needed, a chance to grow." That one almost got me. Almost, but not quite. I set my phone down and returned to my blanket. The good one, the one no one else ever gets to borrow. I took a slow sip of cocoa, rich and dark, and just a little too hot, the way I like it. You know what no one tells you about reclaiming your boundaries? It's delicious. There are 3 things my family loves to do in response to being denied anything. Offer too little, too late. Stage an emotionally manipulative intervention disguised as a potluck. Weaponize nostalgia like a mid-range cult. This week, we got the trifecta. It started with Rachel's Venmo, $14, captioned, "For the oil, thank you, sis, you're the best." $14. As if I'd been standing at the Exxon station, sipping cocoa and doing price comparisons between basic human decency and premium unlidded empathy. I didn't reply. I heart-reacted the payment and left it in my account like a little museum exhibit. The cost of gratitude, Est 2025. Someday, a historian will find it and weep. Then came the group message titled Family Sync Brunch, which is the kind of cheerful branding that immediately suggests passive-aggressive muffins in a trap. I RSVP'd no. Mother called. You don't have to be so cold, sweetheart. It's just a little get-together. Translation. We're going to corner you about the oil thing, but we're going to do it near other people, so you can't scream. I reminded her I was working that day. This was not a lie. I had a standing appointment with my bathrobe and a personal vow to protect my peace. But she insisted. You've always been the glue, darling. Of course. Glue. Invisible, sticky, essential, and impossible to clean up once people realize they need you. I'd spent years being the emotional duct tape that held their shaky narratives together, the one who smiled through holidays that felt like hostage negotiations, who paid heating bills and fielded calls at midnight and explained calmly that no, credit cards do not simply reset every month. And now? Now that I had become, tragically and unforgivably, unavailable? They were melting down like a wax museum in a heat wave. I was enjoying a silent Sunday tea, a thriller novel, total ignorance of my family's latest codependent group chat meltdown when the text came through. From Rachel, of course. So Doug found out you paid off Nana's debt? I didn't respond. That's messed up. Why wouldn't you tell us? Now that made me laugh. Out loud, I startled the cat. Tell them? Tell them I'd quietly paid off Grandma's nursing home balance because watching them squabble over whose turn it was to call the billing office felt like watching baby birds argue about who should Google human food. Tell them I took on the emotional and financial burden because I couldn't bear to see Grandma stuck in that place one more day while they waited for payday? No, because telling them would have made it a transaction, and I was done trading in guilt. I didn't need their praise. I needed them to stop bleeding me dry in the name of family. I had already held their secrets, their breakdowns, their broken furniture, their half-baked dreams and fully baked scams. Now they could hold this one thing. My silence. The Chili's parking lot smelled like generational trauma and bottomless mimosas. Doug stood at the curb in his financially fearless hoodie, which I'm 80% sure was merch from a podcast hosted by a man currently being investigated for securities fraud. He gave me a stiff bro hug that somehow transferred the emotional weight of a second mortgage. Inside, Rachel had commandeered the table with her ring light and a glittery pink binder labeled Family Business. Mother, as always, had arrived early and emotionally damp. She clutched her soda with the theatrical flair of someone preparing to narrate their own emotional downfall in a Ken Burns documentary. I just feel, she said, tapping her glass like it was a mic, like we've all lost our way. No one said anything. A waiter brought our appetizer sampler. Mozzarella sticks, the most consistent thing about this family. Doug cleared his throat. So, budgets. I sipped my water, slowly, like it was scotch and I was trying not to slap anyone. Rachel flipped open her binder. It contained a single page featuring a flowchart that said, "Share the burden," and then a photo of a piggy bank crying. We thought, she began, that maybe instead of doing like secret martyr things, we could be more collaborative, transparent, open. I almost applauded. A TED Talk on moral bookkeeping. Cute. Mother dabbed her eyes with a napkin. You always do so much, sweetheart. You just never include us. And there it was. The kicker, the fatal pivot, the rebrand of my unpaid labor into selfishness. I let the silence sit, uncomfortable, long enough to make even the mozzarella sticks question their existence. Then I smiled, sweetly, with the kind of composure that can only be purchased after years of emotional extortion. I appreciate the sentiment, I said, slicing into my lukewarm quesadilla. But I'm retired. Rachel blinked. From what? From unpaid emotional project management, I said. From ghostwriting your adulthood, from being the fallback plan, the secret wallet, the emotional janitor. I'm out, but do enjoy the sampler platter. Doug made a noise, possibly a financial death rattle. Mother tried to summon tears, but the well was dry. You're really not going to help anymore? I didn't say that, I said. I said I won't help in secret, or in silence, or in shame. If you need help, you can ask politely, directly, and once. But if you guilt-trip me again, I'll invoice you. Rachel laughed, then saw I wasn't joking. Oh, wow! I'll even give you net 30, I added. I'm generous like that. It's amazing how fast things change once you set a boundary. You become less the glue and more the villain in everyone's therapy sessions. Mother now refers to me as estranged, which is rich coming from someone who once forgot my birthday, but remembered to mail her dentist a holiday card. Doug joined a men's emotional wellness group called Bros Who Process, and Rachel has pivoted to influencer content about radical softness and healing your inner wallet. As for me, I'm good. The house is warm because I pay for it and no one else benefits. My Venmo is quiet. My cocoa is hot. And every now and then, when the silence feels too loud, I whisper to myself the most radical act of love I've ever performed. I said no, and I meant it. And no one froze to death. Not even a little. It started, as most family hauntings do, with an envelope. Cream-colored, embossed. Slightly too thick, like it contained judgment and a half-eaten caramel. Postmarked from the estate attorney, but emotionally shipped direct from the crypt of maternal manipulation. Grandma's will. I hadn't thought about Grandma since she passed away, mostly because my mother had airbrushed her out of family lore after she made the scandalous choice to die with opinions and a legally binding document. She'd been the last woman in our lineage who weaponized boundaries with elegance. The original emotional arms dealer. A quiet matriarch with steel in her spine and a favorite phrase I now carried like a pocket knife. No is a full sentence. According to the letter, the reading would be held via Zoom. Naturally, nothing says ancestral reckoning like gallery view and a mute button. Everyone showed up. Doug in his best, I'm not nervous, you're nervous golf shirt. Rachel with her face beat to the gods and a candle labeled Abundance burning softly in the background. Mother was dressed like she expected the will to offer a speaking engagement and a 6-figure advance. I logged in with coffee and the bitter satisfaction of someone who knew she wasn't getting the house and didn't want it. The attorney, a man who looked like his soul had been slowly extracted via probate court, smiled wanly. Let's begin. We watched the video. Yes, video. Grandma had opted for a pre-recorded message. Bold, theatrical, petty. My kind of woman. She appeared on screen, sitting in her favorite chair, clutching a small dog that had definitely outlived its expected lifespan. If you're watching this, she said, I've finally stopped giving a damn. She smiled. Rachel, I leave you my collection of porcelain dolls. You always said they were creepy. I think they'll enjoy your energy. Rachel blinked. What the F? Douglas, Grandma continued, I leave you the family Bible. You may want to open it this time. Doug coughed into his sleeve. Diana, dear child, she said, turning to the camera like she was on her own talk show. I leave you the heater, because you were the only one who understood that love is not loud, it's paid on time and doesn't require applause. I laughed, out loud, on camera, the kind of laugh that breaks tension and possibly family trees. Do with it what you will, Grandma finished, but never set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Unless it's for dramatic effect, then make sure they see the flames. The video cut out. Silence. Then Rachel said, Wait, does that mean she left her space heater? Like, the actual appliance? She named it, I said. It's vintage, cherry red, mid-century, an heirloom of survival. Doug muttered something about equity. Mother asked if the will could be contested. I logged off. The heater sits in my living room now. I don't need it. My central heating works fine, but it hums with quiet defiance. A shrine to inheritance that can't be taxed. Dignity, clarity, and knowing when to log off. I light a candle, cocoa-scented. Grandma would have gagged. Outside, winter rattles the windows. Inside, it's warm. Not just temperature, atmosphere, the rare glow of a space that doesn't demand performance or payment. Sometimes I imagine what I'll say in my video will. Probably nothing. Just a silent shot of the heater, glowing. And a note. Let them freeze if they must. You warmed enough worlds for one lifetime. Thanks for watching my journey through heating bills, invisible labor, and the power of strategic silence. If you've ever been the glue that held everything together until you decided to stop, hit that like button. Subscribe for more darkly satisfying tales of emotional boundaries, hilarious family chaos, and the occasional cocoa-fueled act of petty justice. And remember, kindness is not a utility. You don't owe anyone central heating or closure.